Milgram experiment, 1961. In 1961, a psychologist named Stanley Milgram wanted to answer one question: how did ordinary people follow Nazi orders? So he ran a test. He brought in regular volunteers and told them they were helping with a memory study. Their job was simple: ask questions to a person in another room, and every time that person got an answer wrong, press a button to deliver an electric shock. The shock started small, but they went all the way up to 450 volts, labeled danger, severe shock. The person in the other room was an actor. The shocks weren't real, but the volunteers didn't know that. They heard screaming, begging, then silence. And every time they hesitated, the scientist next to them said, "Please continue, the experiment requires it." 65% of participants pressed the button all the way to the maximum, not because they were cruel, because someone with authority told them it was okay. Milgram's conclusion: ordinary people don't need to be evil to do evil things. They just need someone to tell them it's required. Hanford Prison Experiment, 1971. 10 years later, Philip Zimbardo asked a different question. What happens when you give normal people power over other normal people? He took 24 healthy college students and randomly split them. Half were guards, half were prisoners. They set up a fake prison in a university basement. The plan was 2 weeks. It lasted 6 days. Within 24 hours, the guards started doing things nobody told them to do, waking prisoners at 3 a.m. for no reason, forcing them to do push-ups until they couldn't move, taking away their mattresses, referring to them only by number, never by name. One prisoner broke down completely after 36 hours and had to leave. Zimbardo himself got so absorbed in the role of prison superintendent that he stopped seeing the experiment for what it was. It took someone from outside to walk in and say, "This needs to stop." The lesson: it's not just that power corrupts, it's that roles corrupt. Put a person in a uniform, give them authority, and the environment starts making decisions for them. The Little Albert Experiment, 1920. In 1920, John Watson believed that all human emotions, fear, love, anxiety, are learned, not born, and he wanted to prove it. His subject was a 9-month-old baby named Albert. Watson introduced Albert to a white rat. Albert was curious, happy, completely unafraid. Then every time Albert reached for the rat, Watson made a sudden loud bang right behind his head. A few sessions later, Albert cried the moment he saw the rat and before any noise came. Then Watson tested how far the fear had spread. Albert cried at a rabbit, at a fur coat, at a dog, at a Santa Claus mask with white cotton on it. The fear had generalized, expanded, escaped its origin. Watson proved his point, then moved on. He never reversed the conditioning. Albert left the experiment afraid, and nobody tried to fix it. Watson became one of the most celebrated psychologists in history. Albert died at 36. The Asch Conformity Experiments, 1951. Simple setup. You're in a room with 7 other people. A researcher shows you 2 cards, one with a single line, one with 3 lines of different lengths. The question: which of the 3 lines matches the first card? The answer is obvious. You can see it clearly. But the other 7 people in the room all say the wrong answer. What do? Solomon Asch already knew. Those 7 people were actors. And across multiple trials, 75% of real participants gave the wrong answer at least once, even though they could clearly see the right one. Some doubted their own eyes. Others knew they were right but stayed quiet to avoid standing out. The experiment showed something unsettling. Social pressure doesn't need to be loud or aggressive. The simple fear of disagreeing with a room is enough to make people deny what's right in front of them. The Monster Study, 1939. Wendell Johnson was a speech therapist who believed stuttering was caused by overcorrection, that normal childhood speech mistakes became stutters when adults reacted to them with too much alarm and criticism. To prove it, he took 22 orphan children, kids with no parents to ask questions, and split them in 2. One group received positive speech therapy, encouragement, praise, reassurance. The other group was told constantly that their speech was problematic, that they needed to be careful. Every stumble, every hesitation was pointed out as a sign of something wrong, even for children who didn't stutter at all. Those children started developing real speech problems, anxiety, withdrawal. Some stopped talking in class entirely. The experiment was hidden for 62 years. When it finally came out in 2001, 6 participants sued. The state of Iowa settled for almost $1 million. The survivors described it the same way. Someone told them, when they were very small, that something was wrong with them, and that voice never fully left. Learned Helplessness Experiment, 1967. Martin Seligman divided dogs into groups. One group could press a panel to stop electric shocks. Another group received the same shocks, but nothing they did made any difference. Then he put both groups in a box with a low divider. Shocks on one side, safety on the other, easy to cross. The first group jumped over immediately. The second group lay down and stayed there, even as the shocks continued. They had learned completely deeply that trying changed nothing, so they stopped trying. Seligman called it learned helplessness. Then he recognized the same pattern in misery humans, not weakness, not laziness. A learned belief, built by experience, that effort is pointless. And that changed everything, because if helplessness is learned, it can be unlearned.